Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Lovely to see you. Lovely to be seen by you. My name is Deshola Shoson and I'm excited and grateful, very grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you today. And like we've been discussing for the past couple of days, we've been talking about some changes that you need to make, bringing some information to your awareness. Specifically, it's important that you know so that you can take action in a particular direction because your potential is limitless. You are capable of so much more. And I remember using the example of Mr. Bezos to say that if he could spend the time that he has had on earth and his time and the resources and the opportunities and gotten the kind of results that he has, being the richest man or in the top three usually, if he has been able to achieve that, then everyone is capable of that. So what is standing in the way of that? We've been able to articulate a few things. If you haven't seen any of the videos, you may want to go back to the beginning and pick one or two things, watch them, catch. They're short, mostly short. I think the longest is about 14 minutes or so. So it's short. It's something that you can listen to on the move or while having a snack or something, so that you can follow the conversations that we've been having. So last video we talked about people, how people are important, right? We talked about spirituality and how it's important how you treat people. Why is it important though? Because you're not going to succeed on your own. You're not going to get to those goals on your own. And whatever results you have now, you didn't get there on your own. You had help. You had people who stood with you. You had people who stood against you that propelled you to move forward and take action and get the results that you have, right? So whichever way you look at it, people have always been there, right? Especially the ones that have helped you, those ones that have been quiet. If you have children, those ones that have been quiet while you wrote that book, those colleagues that have allowed you to flourish, because if they made things a little bit more difficult for you, perhaps there's a possibility that you won't be where you are today. So it's important to value people and to treat people well. So today we'll be talking about habits, specifically bad habits, because it's important to track. I've said that over and over again. What you don't track, what you don't measure, you can't change. You can't identify as something that requires some attention if you don't measure it. We talked about scheduling your time, for instance. If you don't track your time hour to hour, you won't find out how much time you waste on things that don't matter, right? And then when you do, you are particular and intentional, and you're being more productive because you're realizing you're supposed to be doing something between the hours of 8 and 9 and then the hours of 10 and 11 because you have organized yourself. Excuse me. So in like manner, you need to track your habits. Now, good recommendation from me: write out all the goals that you have. And remember, we talked about 4 particular broad areas that you should consider when working out your goals or setting routines or craving or desiring growth in those areas. So you want to focus on your health, your career, your family, and your spirituality. So you want to get in touch with all these 4 areas every day. It's what you pay attention to that grows. Where your focus is where your energy goes, right? So if you give those areas your attention, then they will grow and they will blossom. Okay, so you want to be careful to make sure that you come in contact with these 4 areas, as broad as they are, every day, so that they're getting the required attention from you and they're getting the required focus from you, and they can grow that way, right? So we're talking about habits, right? You like I said, write your goals in those areas and be specific. If you're not specific, then the creative power, we talked about this in spirituality, you have access to a higher power, right? You understand the existence of a higher power and you're connected. Therefore, you have access and benefits to derive from that relationship, right? So that access gives you creative power. If you believe in God like I do, in the God of the Bible like I do, then you are creative just like God, right? So that creative power comes to play when you are specific about your goals. If you're not specific, then it has nothing to work with. You want to make $100 million. That is specific. Within 6 months or 8 months, I don't know what you do for work, but it is possible. Okay, and we've talked about mindsets and thoughts and all of that. So when you hear certain amounts or you hear certain feats, be careful such that your first thought is not how. No, it is possible. If you do a little bit of research, you will find out that there are people who make those amounts of money in maybe 2 or 3 days or thereabouts, or far less than the 6 months that I mentioned. So don't let limitation be your default response. Accept the possibility that the idea that everything is possible, and again, everything is happening for you, everything is working together for you. You just need to be positioned. You need to work hard at it and embrace the possibilities that are around you, because your potential is limitless. Okay, back to habits. So you've set these goals and you've decided this is what you want to do. Now you want to write out everything that has stood in the way of you achieving those goals, right? Every habit, everything. What is a habit? Something that you do every day, that you do on a consistent basis. Most of these things you don't even think about anymore, like this thinking pattern that I talked about. Your thoughts are, someone is making a lot of money, and the first thing that comes to you is it must be a fraudster. Now, if that's the case, then it has to be proven, right? But if you don't have any proof of that, and that is your default reasoning, then such a situation will not be available to you. That situation of making a lot of money. Why? Because your mind repels it. You're not a fraudster, right? So you have decided you're not going to practice fraud. And if you say a certain amount of money is available only to people who are fraudsters, then you're not going to get that kind of money. I hope you understand how 2 + 2 is equaling 4 now. Okay. All right. So you want to write out every habit that has stood in the way prior to today of you achieving those goals. You want to be detailed. You want to be specific. You want to think about it. And then you want to find out what your triggers are. Why do you default to those habits? Say you eat too much, for instance. Okay, say you're overweight and you want to lose weight. Now, what has stood in the way of that goal is you eat too much. Now, your trigger would be, under what circumstances do you eat too much? Around which people do you eat too much? How do you feel when you overeat? Do you feel stressed? Is it a response? Is it a response to some kind of feeling or some kind of trauma? You want to interrogate that, because again, what you don't measure, you can't change. Now, when you have analyzed all of those things, then you can begin to make progress and take it one step at a time and remove a trigger. Sometimes, in fact, most of the time, it's easier for you to think of making changes as additions rather than removing, right? So if you think you eat a lot of, say, cake, okay, for instance, you eat a lot of cake and you overeat it. Now, you can add vegetables to your diet such that you're so full, there's no room for cake. So you're thinking in terms of addition. This is just a simple strategy. You're thinking in terms of addition. It's just to help your mind. You're thinking in the sense of addition as against removing. Now, if removing works for you, like I have had to cut out a lot of things from my diet, and sometimes when I say I don't eat or I don't drink certain things, it's like, seriously, how? It's easier for me. Okay, I have a sweet tooth, so I would rather not indulge, so that I would drink my water and avoid anything sugary, because I can't stand bitter stuff. But water is easier for me to drink. So removing stuff has been my own solution to that problem. Now, I don't know what will work for you, but you want to begin to adjust those triggers one after the other, so you're not predisposed to that particular bad habit. Say you overdrink, say you get drunk a lot. There are triggers around that behavior. There are people that make it more convenient for you to drink. Maybe there's a colleague, or there's a relative or something, or you go to certain events where drinking is the order of the day. Now, once you have identified your trigger, if you're able to deal with the trigger, then that habit is on its way to being changed, or at least been reduced, right? Now, you can adopt it cold turkey, cut it out like I've done, or you can just take it one day at a time. Cut back, like smoking, for instance, is not recommended. If you want to quit smoking, it's not recommended for you to stop cold turkey. Some medical reason, right? Do your research. So it's recommended that you wean yourself off the cigarette. So you're down from, say, a pack or two a day. So, and then you reduce it to half a pack, and then maybe one stick, and then you're able to wean yourself off that particular habit. So that's what I wanted to point out to us today. Again, the process is write down your goals, write down write down your goals, write down every habit that has prevented you from achieving those goals. Now identify your triggers and then begin to deal with these triggers one after the other. You're also going to adopt replacement. You leave one behavior for another. It's even with a child. You don't say to a child, you can't do that anymore, and not replace it with another. The child will go back to what has made them feel good, or for whatever purpose of that behavior was, right? So you have to replace one behavior with another. But let's stop at the itemizing your... Okay, I can't see that. Let's stop at hi, welcome, thank you for joining. I can't let's start at itemizing your goals, identifying the habits, the bad habits that have predisposed you to not achieving those goals, that have stood in the way of you achieving those goals, and moving on to the triggers, the who, the what, the when, the where, all the information that surrounds those particular behaviors that are standing in the way of you achieving your goals, and then begin to take care of those triggers one after the other. And before you know it, consistency, the compound effect, you're going to get rid of those habits, and then your goals will become achievable. Thank you so much for watching this evening. I hope somebody has been helped. My name is Deshola Shoson. I am a peak performance coach, and I'm a certified family systems engineering practitioner. I'm here to help, and do reach out, send me a DM, or I don't know, a message or something when you see this. If you have something to share, you have a question, or there's something that has been nagging at you and you've wanted me to talk about it and I haven't, I will see how I can work that into future sessions. Thank you so much again for watching. See you next time. We'll talk soon.